Hey everybody, today we're looking at a little bit more of a complex setup here to achieve a certain type of sound. What I'm looking for is a lot of motion. As you can see, there's motion happening all over the screen here. All of these things are doing various things, and so I want to explain what they're all doing and why they're doing it. Uh, First and foremost, this is some advanced routing in terms of the environment, and I had to do things a few specific ways to make it work. Uh, I don't want necessarily anyone to feel like they're being left behind, but I'm going to move kind of quickly. And if there's some part of this that you still need a little bit more on, perhaps pause or watch the screen very closely if I don't explain a certain mouse movement or something. But I want to cover a lot of ground just to be able to explain what all of this is doing. So first and foremost, let's close all of these down now that you've seen them. And this looks like just a normal, really simple session. This is what the sound sounds like. So it has a really kind of interesting, unique sound. First and foremost, we have Alchemy. This is just the patch called Rhythmic Waves of Mercury, and you can see that it's moving around. I wanted to use the modulators here to control that. However, there is a problem with the performance pads here that whenever you use a modulator and have it learn a plugin setting, that it would never do the Y axis. It would only ever do the X axis. If you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, with the modulators, you can come through and learn plugin parameter, move the parameter you want to control, and then this thing would be able to modulate it. So I can only ever get the X axis to work. No matter how much I try to drag it up and down first, it always just registers the X, left and right. So we have to go through the environment. Let's see if I've got it open already. And there's a few different things happening here. One of the most important things about the environment is learning that you can do tons of things, but the monitors come in so handy. The monitors allow us to see what data is being sent from what place. So I have a bunch of monitors, mostly just to track that. Okay, so now what I've done is create two other instrument tracks. Number 2 is the source for the modulation that goes to Alchemy. That's important because you can't put it on its own track now that's not really working. I'm sending out on instrument track 2 MIDI via the external instrument over the IAC bus on MIDI channel 1. Now, the reason why I have to do this instead of just connecting my tracks in here is because if I were to say drag, from one instrument track like this into the next, the MIDI effects are after that in the chain, and so we don't have, or they're not part of that chain, and so the MIDI effects won't actually go out this cabling. So we have to use the IAC driver, which is part of Mac OS X, and we send out data from each of these two, in this case just the first one we're looking at, instrument track, the external instrument. And then I added the physical input to this particular window by saying new. And let's see, in this case, we have a bunch of different options, but the physical input is the one that we're looking at for this. So I added it here. It actually pulls it out. Originally, it's available, I think, in this screen, but once you add it, you can't have two of them. So we have it here now. I drag out from the IAC bus, and it is going, in this case, let's see if I can get that just selected all by itself. Okay, I can't. So it is going into this monitor right here. So the IAC cable goes down into this monitor. So we can see everything coming from the IAC driver here. I wanted to be able to see everything that was happening. And then it goes into this transformer. So this first transformer takes it, and this is some of the tricky stuff. I've done another video about this, so if you've seen one of my other advanced MIDI routing videos, you may have seen some of this. I'm using the apply operation and let non-matching events pass through. That's important for this first transformer because it means that anything I set up here for the condition will be changed, but everything else will just continue on through. So I've got the status equals control data. That's what I want because on our first modulator here, I'm using a MIDI CC control data number 16, general purpose number 1. So because of that, I set the status to equals control, channel equals 1, data byte equals 16 because that's what I had the modulator set to, and then I don't worry about data byte 2. Then I say what I want this to change to. So I'm going to fix that, anything that comes down with that, I'm going to fix it to fader, channel number 2, data byte 16. And the reason that I know that we want that is because we have the Alchemy set up to accept that data. This is where it gets a little bit awesome. So this is where those monitors come in really handy. I'm going to create a new empty track because I don't want to mess up what I've got going on so far. We'll do Alchemy here. Going back into the environment. And so we see Alchemy here. I'm going to make a new monitor. I don't need to do this because I already know the data, but I'm showing you how to figure this out. I'm going to drag the output into the monitor. And then I'm going to move around the performance pad. So you're going to see as I go one direction, it's 1, but it starts with F, and then it goes to 2, and then 16 and 17, and then it shows like the actual individual data parameters. So that's how, when I went in here to this channel to send it there, and then I went into the environment with the first of the 2 transformers, I knew to set it to fader because of the F. I knew to fix it to number 2 because it was F2 in the monitor. And then I knew that one of them had to be 16 and one of them had to be 17 because of the third piece of data here. And then I don't need to worry about all the rest because it's just going to pass through with what the original MIDI effects is going to do. That's how I knew how to get all this information. It's because I put a monitor on the output of that Alchemy, and then I moved that parameter around, and I knew that that was it. So the second transformer, well, the first one, it goes to here to make sure that I knew what I was doing. And then this one goes over into the input of this Alchemy track, which is, right here. So it's going into there. I just drug the output and I just let it go on top of that track. And it has all of the data there, but we're just really concerned about that fader 2. Now, we drug another output from that into that transformer to the second transformer. And you're going to recognize almost everything except for this one. The data byte 1 is 17, which is the other axis on that point. Cool. So now this one goes into here, and you don't see all the data. The other thing I did was just say apply operation and filter non-matching events. That means instead of creating a duplicate of anything, it just gets pulled out. And now we're sending that data over to here as well. We could have done this a few other ways, but at the time I was doing one piece at a time. So I did 2 transformers, monitor that it was going there. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for this. That then controls Alchemy and moves this around. I could, if I wanted to, do some other things with this. So let's open up both of these. Right now I have a sample and hold function controlling it, but if, say I wanted to do smoothing on this, let's move this to 50% essentially. Look, now it's smoothly moving between them instead of jumping. We could even do more smooth if we wanted to. But this, now we can control all of these parameters, change how we control the actual thing over here. So for instance, I can go to 16th notes. One more, there we go. So that is 16th on the side to side, but a quarter note up and down, but we can make them both 16 if we want. I thought that sounded a little too frantic, so I'm leaving it on the quarters or even the eighths. We could do whichever we want. Okay, so that's the first part of the sound design here, is using these 2 modulators to control the performance pad here. So the second thing we're doing then is controlling the binaural panner. So first and foremost, binaural panner, you right click on the panner, you can choose binaural pan. This allows it to use a head-related transfer function system to move it around your head, even if you're on stereo headphones. And we did something very similar to what we did before. Well, I didn't this time because I knew the answers, but this is how you would do it. So I have instrument 3, and it has a binaural panner on it too, and I just put that on there because I wanted to walk you through this process. So for instance, let's do the new a new monitor. Monitors are everything, right? And so we're going to do the output of this into this monitor, and then watch, I move this around. F1, 25 and 26. 25 is the one where it's on the outside, and then 26 moves it into the middle. So 25 is the circle, 26 moves it inward. But I just wanted to move it around, not necessarily move it inward. So I put another external in on this track, and in this case, I sent it out MIDI channel 2, keep them separate for the IAC, and then let's see, we have 2 modulators here. The first one I set up to go out 18 of the general purpose MIDI parameters. You can pick other ones of those too, but I just picked those ones because it's easy for me to have a system that I use constantly, and those 4 are often just available for use, and so I'm not worried about them doubling up other things. So I have that one going out, and it's coming into here. So the first one is status control. I did put it on channel 2 over the IAC, so I put channel 2 data byte 18 because that's the one I set from that modulator plugin. So this sets all my conditions, and then I say filter non-matching events just in case anything slides through. And then I fix this to fader 125. Those are what I found from monitoring moving around the binaural panner. And so we're converting the CC data 18 into fader data with channel 1 and the data bit for the number 25. It goes here, and then I just drag this and drag it onto the Alchemy, the original Alchemy track. Just to give you a sense, because we have this available to do this extra one here, I'll show you how to do that. I just put this second Alchemy that I used for demonstrations into binaural mode. So now I can come and drag this one onto here, and now you'll see they're both moving at the exact same rate. So that's exactly, I just drag it onto that track. Now I have in here this first modulator, which is the one I was just using. And so I can change the rate of this as well. Well, right now I can't actually, because I have a second modulator working on that. But if I turn the other one off, I could adjust the rate, make it go slow, fast. We can make it jump like it's currently doing, or smooth it out as I looked at the other one. So now it's going to swipe around. But I like the jumping in this case. What I have going on, though, is a second modulator. And with this second modulator, I set the output for this. I clicked on Learn Plugin Parameter, and I just adjusted the LFO rate on the first modulator. So now if I turn this on, that means that whatever I have set here is going to adjust this one. So sometimes it's a fast rate and sometimes it's a slower rate. I moved the output level so it was doing less, and I shifted up the offset so that it would be kind of in the middle without going to too many extremes. But now I've got this thing which sometimes is moving around faster and sometimes is moving around slower to give it more variety. We have the sound shifting with the performance pad. So it's moving around those, and then we also have it shifting in the binaural sphere. And it's a really interesting sound that's dynamic and slightly unpredictable, and it's going to be different every time you play it. So unless you actually freeze your track, it's going to be different every time. So perhaps at some point you freeze it and decide if you like the one that you got that was frozen, but it's going to be different every time it gets played, because we're doing random things rather than a safe, repeatable, predictable thing. Okay, that's all I want to show today. Hope this all made sense. I hope I explained the key elements well enough for you to recreate this. I think the only other thing that I would go back and show you one more time is just the MIDI destination, IAC driver. If for some reason you don't see that, you may have to come up in here to your MIDI studio, which is in your preferences. Well, it's in the utilities of your applications folder, and it may have to be activated. So if this is not set to online, you wouldn't see it. Theoretically, it should be activated already, but if it's not for some reason, then come in and activate that inside your Audio MIDI utility. Okay, that's it. Hope this was useful, as I said, and leave your comments below as to if you actually would ever do something like this, or what kind of applications you'd be interested in changing to do with this.